Hello everybody and welcome to Parks Bros. It's Drew here. If you don't know me, I'm a huge fan of all things theme and amusement park. I've ridden nearly 200 coasters alongside visits to parks from 10 US states and multiple countries. To top it off, I've been making park-related content for nearly a decade, with over 1,000 videos under my belt. My point is, I love these places, but there's something else that I love that I feel a lot of people don't know about, and that's sports. Growing up in Orange County, California, I've always rooted for teams like the Ducks, OCSC, and, unfortunately, the Angels. Hey Artie, sell the team. Outside of the more traditional sports with balls and pucks, I've found myself getting back into something I used to love as a kid. The exciting world of racing powered vehicles around circuits, city streets, or dirt roads for a chance to be the fastest has become a staple yet again in my life. When I was younger, I visited places like the Auto Club Speedway and Long Beach for the Grand Prix for the thrill of being around these speedy machines. Mind you, this was before I warmed up to riding major roller coasters, so knowing now that some of these drivers are experiencing the equivalent G-forces to riding Accelerator hundreds of times in a row while also having to control everything brought me back into the amazing feats of motorsport. I know you're thinking, Drew, what does this vroom vroom cargo fast business have to do with parks? Well, there's another staple in Orange County besides our championship-winning sports trio, and that's Disneyland. It was practically my second home as a kid. I was there multiple times a week from the point I was weeks old up until I was in attendance for the last day the park was open in 2020. I was even there on the first day back in 2021, shelling out hundreds of dollars for a day back at the happiest place on earth. I've been a handful of times since, but it's never been quite the same. Cuts to spending around the park becoming more and more apparent, with some major draws suffering constant downtime or just never being fixed or replaced. This is all while tickets cost more than ever, with the parks more crowded than ever because of a system that pushes pass holders to scramble for their chances to make their expensive pass worth it. Having said all that, Disney has, instead of putting money back into fixing and repairing what they already have, pushed for entirely new experiences, whether in their parks, cruise line, or collaborations, throwing its hat into somehow a more luxurious market. On May 19th, 2025, Disney announced a collaboration with Formula One, the premier open-wheel racing league that has exploded in popularity in the US following the Netflix hit Drive to Survive. Alongside the show, a US company, Liberty Media, bought Formula One Group in 2017 for $4.4 billion. The company has pushed for more US races, with hopes to widen their audience in the country, and now having 3 races take place in the US every year. It also helps having a movie make $500 million over the summer. The announced collaboration by Disney for Mickey and Friends is still unknown. The only thing we actually know is that this collab is slated for this year, 2026. Yeah, it's already been over 6 months since they announced this. The only thing we had seen was Mickey standing in front of a Mickey F1 car in Las Vegas. Here's what the official announcement had to say about the opportunity. In recent years, Formula One has seen a huge surge in growth with younger fans, and data shows that more than 4 million children aged 8 to 12 now actively follow the sport across the EU and US, while 54% of followers on TikTok and 40% of Instagram are now under 25 years old. This is undoubtedly the reason that Disney considered going into this. F1 CCO Emily Prager had this to say: "Our collaboration with Disney is set to be a brilliant one, as we introduce the world of Mickey and Friends to our fans, and vice versa. It fits perfectly with our strategy to step outside the world of sport and into a broader consumer market. And in return, we're introducing Disney to our 820 million fans worldwide." Outside of the bland corporate speak, there's not too much to say on what that collaboration actually is. It's testing season in F1 now, and we still have zero clue. Well, at least until F1 returned to Vegas just a couple months ago.
You're listening to Radio New Vegas, your little jukebox in the Mojave Wasteland. I am Mr. New Vegas, and I'm here for you. We've got some news for you coming right up. A package courier found shot in the head near Good Springs has reportedly regained consciousness and made a full recovery. Now that's a delivery service you can count on. Those were our top stories. Gonna play a song for you right now, and it's about that special someone you find only once in a blue moon.
The Las Vegas Grand Prix, Although it's only been around in this form since 2023, it's definitely made its mark as the most flashy race in F1. While it seems that many F1 fans are disgruntled by the showmanship that Vegas provides, it's become a fantastic place for marketing opportunities. The lights, the miniature versions of world landmarks, and the giant circular billboard known as the Sphere, it takes advertising to a whole new level all weekend long. F1 and Motorsport by Nature have an insane amount of advertising on their cars, as racing is incredibly costly, and sponsorship is the easiest way to pay for it. With F1 becoming as popular as it is, so many companies have hopped on this DRS train for money, with everything from merchandise to fan zones at races, and even meet and greets at Home Depots. Yes, seriously, Williams did this if you bought Duracell batteries at Home Depot. I wish I was kidding. Regardless, Disney almost seems a little late to the party with this announcement. ESPN, one of the many entertainment outlets that Disney owns, lost the US rights to F1 races at the end of last year, with Apple paying full price for the rights for US broadcasting beginning this season, following their hugely successful movie, F1. I know, right? What a creative name. So seeing the announcement of a collaboration by Disney prior to those negotiations ending, and more so what we saw in Las Vegas, is super confusing. This year, Disney put their hand into the cookie jar alongside returning collaborations from Peanuts and new additions Sanrio, aka Hello Kitty, and Lego, which announced they're sponsoring their own F1 Academy team this season after their massively successful F1 lines. These entertainment icons were just some of the massive names at the race. Disney finally launched something in collaboration with F1 as they dropped a handful of merchandise options for the race. Outside of that, both Mickey and Minnie were spotted in the paddock in appropriately themed attire. This Fuel the Magic campaign seemed in line with most of the other entertainment outlets promoting merchandise or other events. But that was at least until the race ended. Following the race, the top three finishers hopped in a Lego Cadillac driven by Terry Crews. That's also a real sentence. They made their way to the Bellagio fountains as the equivalent of 4 Disney fireworks shows were launched off the top of the hotels. After they did their interviews, there needed to be a time filler as the drivers had to be driven back to the podium. I still don't really get it, but all I can think is that the Bellagio pays for the extra screen time. This is when the most mind-boggling event of the night happened. Yes, even more than Kimmy's fantastic drive and the double disqualification. The camera pans to Mickey on a floating platform to musical themes from Fantasmic as he directs the Bellagio fountains in time. This is all happening as hundreds of drones are overhead making the shapes of F1 cars and more. Was it cool? I mean, yeah, it's something I joked about as a kid, just like a race down the strip. I know, right? Some imagination, huh?
I much prefer working with robots.
Outside of it not being live, and knowing Disney spent so much to do this with drones and an add-on the Sphere, it's quite insulting when the dragon at Disneyland's Fantasmic still hasn't been replaced since it burned 6 months before the original 2023 race took place. But the main question we have now is, what the heck is this collab actually going to be? The first ads we physically saw for this collaboration was just after the original announcement, as a billboard was in Monaco teasing the 2026 start date. This got my mind racing then. I came up with a few ideas, which some have turned out to be true. The first was merchandise. It's something both companies love to throw out there while making it crazily expensive for just a simple t-shirt. The next was random sponsorship and marketing opportunities. Well, we've seen that with ads during races, and now Mickey and Minnie greeting drivers on the track, with the Disneyland band even being invited into the pit lane. This is where I started to grasp at straws. Cadillac is a new team that's debuting in 2026, so why not be a title sponsor for an American team, especially when one of those drivers has done Disney Plus sponsorships in the past? Well, considering the announcement was made with F1 instead of Cadillac specifically, it's fair to say that sort of stuff is off the table. However, would certain races gain Disney or Disney Plus or even Disney World title sponsors? For example, the Disney Plus United States Grand Prix or the Walt Disney World Miami Grand Prix. That got the gears turning almost as fast as the pistons and the V6 hybrid engines. Bob Iger's time as CEO has been all about hopping on the newest trends or buying massive franchises and half-heartedly putting effort towards new ideas. It's been nothing but flooding the parks or merchandise with the most successful IPs and then making sequel after sequel after sequel after spin-off after prequel after sequel. And in the parks division, the emphasis on shopping and dining areas has only sped up, all while losing bits of personality. Giant expansions with lacking entertainment, ideas, and funds made me think of something truly diabolical. So I checked the zoning of Lake Buena Vista, Bay Lake, and other cities nearby to Walt Disney World in Florida. Disney's no stranger to sports partnerships, the failed NBA experience, collabs for All-Star games, and Star Wars themed nights for just about every team on the planet. They even built an entire sports complex just south of Disney World. ESPN's Wide World of Sports is host to many tournaments throughout the year, most famously spring training, national cheer competitions, and the 2020 NBA Finals. I don't want to hear anything about a Mickey ring, bro. Every team was well rested. That Lakers team was just stacked. However, that wasn't the only major sporting complex on Walt Disney World property, because back in 1995, there was something else they created for a specific type of sport that lasted 20 years in what is now the expanded parking lot for Magic Kingdom. It was a full-sized speedway. That's right, Walt Disney World Speedway was a real tri-oval racetrack that held multiple professional races. So, combining everything we know about Bob Iger's Disney, Liberty Media's F1, zoning around Orlando, and Disney's history of sports collaboration, let's take our attention from racing in Las Vegas to Central Florida, as I introduce the totally fictional Walt Disney World Grand Prix at ESPN's Wide World of Sports, aka the Mickey-drome. Yeah, I created in concept a full racetrack and entertainment district to bring in more visitors to the Wide World of Sports and Disney World. Using the past and present zoning maps in the Reedy Creek Improvement District, aka the land that Disney practically ruled over in Orange and Osceola counties before Ron DeSantis got all butthurt. We can see using these maps that Wide World of Sports is technically unincorporated alongside the trio of all-star resorts, as Bay Lake and Lake Buena Vista don't stray outside the Orange County boundaries. Zooming in further, it's easy to see large tracts of land around Wide World of Sports. I'm just going to say ESPN from now on because it's a lot easier. Around the complex, there's a large upside-down U-shape that I figured would be the perfect spot for a future racetrack, but only if future zoning would allow for it. Looking through the maps, it became quite clear what type of shape the track would take, as looking at the suitable land for mixed use, recreation, and entertainment led to a more realistic sideways L shape. There might be some small issues though, as some of the land used is classified as Class 2 wetlands. What does that mean? Well, Class 1 wetlands are non-permanent wetlands that last for only a couple weeks in spring, with Class 2 holding water for up to 6 weeks. But again, non-permanently. The other potential natural boundary is an unnamed creek that runs under and along Victory Way, the entry road into ESPN. Taking all of that into account, let's get our engineering caps on. Yeah. And design a fully Disney-ified F1 track. If you're still watching by this point, I'd really appreciate you liking the video and subscribing, as this video took close to 200 hours of work and research from start to finish. Also, let me know if there are any other parks that deserve a track of their own in the comments below. Let's start with the pit building, finish line, and main grandstand being located just north of the furthest fields for soccer and baseball. After around 800 meters of straightaway, the track will raise slightly while turning subtly to the left. This is to hop over Victory Way and that creek we talked about earlier. Sure, a bridge would need to be constructed, but we'll make more use of it in a second. Lowering into a more official turn 1, it's a right-hand turn after a hard braking zone at just past 90 degrees. From here, it was obvious I needed to turn the track back around as 1. I need to use that bridge again to keep costs down, and 2. To use less of that less accommodating land. I didn't want this to be a simple hairpin U-turn, so I had to think of something a little different. My eyes immediately looked to the interchange with Osceola Parkway. It being so circular made me think of the most iconic Disney character, Mickey, and his big mouse ears. Why not mirror it? So, from above, it was obvious this was Mickey's racetrack. a not-so-small nod to the Mickey-shaped lake from the original Disney World Speedway. It was at this moment I knew I had to fit as many unabashedly Disney names and shapes into the track. This long left turn complex would feature slight banking to ease tire usage on the right-hand side while changing the radius of the turn constantly. From here, the track heads up the bridge, although making a slight right this time before heading downward and eventually to another hard braking zone and right turn inspired by turn 1 of the Hungara Ring. To make for a more grand entrance, this bridge named Victory Bridge would have a similar sign to the entrance of Disney World, except this time inviting you into the wide world of sports and raceway. After the slow right-hand turn is a drawn-out left turn that gets higher speed the further you go. A small straight is followed up by a quick lift of the throttle and a right turn. This flick of the wrist on the steering wheel is like some of the high-speed sections of Melbourne Park Circuit in Australia. A loosening left-hander changes to a slight right before another hard braking zone to turn to the left. Following this is another small straight and a high-speed left. Let's zoom out for a moment. I know what you're thinking. The answer is yes. In my first attempt, it was an accident, but I made sure to be more purposeful this time around. Here are the turn names in order: radiator, headlight, rooftop, spoiler, and tailpipe. Oh, turn 7, you ask? Well, obviously, since it's quicker than quick, only one name made sense. Leaving all of the Lightning McQueen references behind for now, let's refer to a Disney classic, harkening back to an age of hand-drawn animation. Nearly everyone in racing loves a good back-and-forth section. Bending through S-shaped turns is a staple of legendary tracks like Suzuka and Silverstone. Well, I thought it would be fun to flip Silverstone's famous Maggots and Beckett's corners to create Bippity, Boppity, and Boo. 3 continually faster rights and lefts before speeding off into the distance, leaving a glass slipper behind. Speaking of glass slippers, all I could think of looking at this shape was the top portion of a shoe, so why not pack in more Cinderella references with a high-speed left being named Charming. This is followed by a straight and a low/medium speed corner to the left named Toe, a reference to both the shape of the turn and everyone's favorite Cars sidekick, Mater. Following this, the track encounters its final straight track parallel to the western side of ESPN. To allow for a large runoff area if cars can't brake in time, the final section is made up of 3 turns, slowing cars down for the safety of drivers and fans. This section is incredibly similar to Les Combes at Belgium's famous circuit Spa. Making up the heel of the slipper, it only makes sense to call the first 2 turns heel. But to make the last turn feel more grand, I opted to call it Midnight, as the right-hand turn follows the movement of the clock striking 12. And let's be honest, Alex Jakes or David Croft could make some stellar references to the final turn before the photo finish. After going through the entire layout, I'd like to iterate that I only went through the longest version of the track. There are multiple cut-throughs and alternate routes for different racing series outside of F1 to make this track serviceable more than one weekend of the year. Speaking of which, there would be a full entertainment complex within the bounds of Lightning's outline. So, let's look at the offerings, starting from the west. The first things we can see are grandstands near spoiler and rooftop with a circular area for multi-purpose. Yes, this is the shape of a wheel, adding to the Cars movie references. This would be named Pit Stop Park. Why that name if it's not near the pit lane? Well, in its center sits a fountain with none other than Guido, showing off his pit lane skills with a small water show. From here, we see another grandstand for the heel complex as well as the slipper straight. Further north is F1 Fan Zone with trees, grass, food trucks, and outdoor games scattered about. Just to its south is the main grandstand with a fairly large building attached. Inside is a must-have for a racetrack at Disney World. Something they don't have already: go-karts. The Ka-Chow karting experience would be open year-round, featuring 3 different tracks, the smallest of which, named Glass Slipper, would run clockwise with 10-mile-per-hour carts, both tandem and solo, for the littlest ones to experience the thrill of a race with their parents driving. The larger track, named Genie's Magic Lamp, would run counterclockwise with steadily faster carts at around 15 miles per hour. The largest track sits just outside the warehouse-like building. Its name, the Minidrome, of course. This track fits in more references, as its shape alludes to the Sorcerer's Hat and Mickey and Minnie's ears. This track would be for the most competitive drivers, host to much faster karts. From here, there's more grandstands near Ka-Chow Corner, and something that feels so wrong to me, being righted. a Ferris wheel on Disney World property. That's right, the most iconic theme park destination in the entire world doesn't have a Ferris wheel on property. This would be the centerpiece to Grand Prix Plaza, with small food locations and shopping scattered throughout. Looking past the shaped grandstands for the Main Street and Turn 5, McQueen's Lightning Bolt points us toward the Headlight District, a massive F1 branded arcade, restaurant, bar, and rooftop viewing platform. This is a model that F1 has brought to many US cities as of late, with simulators, shops, and restaurants with viewing parties for every race. From here, we see our last grandstand and a must-have expansion to the Disney World Skyliner. This would directly connect the track and ESPN to many Disney World hotels, Hollywood studios, and Epcot, incentivizing the idea of staying on property further while upping the price of the hotels even more. A true Iger move. From here, a large parking expansion would be needed with potential access to a Skyliner station and especially busing on race weekends. The last addition, you ask? The shape of Mickey's face through grass roof awnings and grass impressions in between the ears. It'd make this track truly unmistakable from the sky. So, there you have it. The new and improved Walt Disney World racetrack, or as I like to call it, the Mickey-drome. The only thing that's left is to drive it. If only I started learning Blender to build it virtually from the ground up. Oh, wait a minute. I did.
Hiya, pal! It's me, Mickey Mouse! Gosh, pal! Good job! Hot dog! Hot dog! Gosh, will ya look at that?
Not bad for a first Blender project, huh? It's wild to see an actual rendered model of it, and not just some concept art 7 years in advance. That brings us back to the real concern. Disney focusing on jumping from trend to trend. If there was any point during that hot lap or during this entire video that made you even question if Disney would go out of their way to build this track and expansion to ESPN, I think it shows a glaring issue with the company right now. Staples of their parks are rotting, with a perfect example being Disneyland's Tomorrowland. It's been in need of a major overhaul for almost 20 years, yet all it receives are closures and cuts. Their focus has been on squashing iconic areas for new IP that performs well on Disney+. Disney Plus. Wait a minute. Disney Plus, a Cars Land in the middle of the rivers of America. Disney Plus, a necessary phone app and intense itinerary with 17 backup plans. Disney Plus, the same exact rides at every single park. Disney Plus, a $5,000 a stay Star Wars hotel. Disney Plus, an exhausting, expensive, stressful, and unsatisfying theme park trip. They're always adding, but never preserving what they have. Now look, I fully understand needing to innovate and change, especially in these spaces, but what Disney is doing right now is slapping 15 bandages over an amputated hand. Sure, it will do some help, but it won't fix the core problem. Last year, I visited the Tokyo Disney Resort, which is owned and operated by a different company, and was blown away. Every experience felt warm, welcoming, clean, and genuinely magical. Even their opening day rides looked and felt brand new. This is all while it's a fifth of the price compared to the parks in the US. It left me wondering, how could Disney not make this possible at home? The passion just doesn't feel like it exists or has the budget to perform like it should. With how much they're making, how could the experience and care fall so low? Disney has firmly become a luxury brand, especially in the theme park space, but it's failing to feel worthy of being one. Seeing this iconic brand amongst the likes of Louis Vuitton, Tag Heuer, Emirates, and Moët Chandon is surreal. Don't get me wrong, F1 is trying to expand its audience and seem like a more approachable sport in comparison to its past, but it still has tickets that are close to the Super Bowl in price. Disney teaming up with them is a meet-in-the-middle moment. So, with the clock ticking down on the 2026 season, we'll just have to be patient and see if there's more in store for this collaboration than a $150 hoodie or the ugliest designer glasses I've ever seen. If you've made it all the way to the end, I just wanted to give you my sincere thanks. It means the world to me as I spent close to 200 hours on this. So if you haven't yet, I'd love to see you like or share the video, or heck, even leave a comment letting me know your thoughts and potential changes you'd like to see to this potential track in the future, because I will be making a full version when I get a little better at Blender that you guys can download and race on yourselves. But with that, as always, we'll see you on the next ride.